All right, so there you heard it. Joining me on the broadcast is Mr. Scott Faulkner, former Chief Admin Officer of the U.S. House of Representatives, also Director of Personnel for the Reagan campaign. Mr. Faulkner, thank you so much for taking our time to speak to us. I, of course, begin by asking you, as far as politics is concerned, a lot of it is narrative building. So whose narrative is taking the lead? Is it Kamala Harris or Donald Trump?
Right now, we'll see what Harris has to say this evening. I'm sure she'll be focusing on January 6th. But there's definitely been a shift in Trump's direction. A lot of the collection of what we call real clear politics surveys have actually shifted Arizona in Trump's direction. And so he seems to be getting traction and dominating the news cycles. Everything still seems to boil down to Pennsylvania, and that's still very much a wild card.
Mr. Faulkner, as far as some of the recent attacks against Donald Trump are concerned, calling him a fascist, calling him a Nazi even, or racist, in your perspective, is that really impacting the voter?
I really don't think so. I mean, when you look, if anyone actually watched any part of the Madison Square Garden rally, there were Israeli flags flying. There were people with yarmulkes. There were Jewish people on the stage. I mean, how can you be a Nazi and have Israeli flags? This attack is just so ludicrous, and I think most people realize it's ludicrous.
At the same time, Mr. Faulkner, immigration, of course, seems to be a pretty important issue, given as far as these elections are concerned. So, policy-wise, in your understanding, who is really being able to convince the voters as far as immigration is concerned? On the one hand, you have Donald Trump promising a very strict immigration policy, while on the other hand, you have Kamala Harris, who says that America will continue to flourish the way it has been for the past 4 years under the Democrats, and there's really no need for them to have a stern look into the immigration policy. So who, as per you, is being able to convince the voter on that front?
Most surveys show Trump up almost 15 to 20 points among voters trusting him to handle the immigration crisis over Harris. Immigration is listed anywhere from number 2 to number 3 as an issue of concern in this country, primarily because of the uptick in various crimes, especially murders, that are being conducted by illegal immigrants. Again, the key thing here, and this is where the left-wing media and Harris try to say it's immigration. No, it's illegal immigration. Americans, and certainly conservatives and Republicans, welcome legal immigrants. We need immigrants, especially for the ones that are highly technical. I mean, all of my medical personnel are immigrants from South Asia. I mean, either India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan. I mean, a large core of America's health delivery is now from these immigrants who are coming in well-trained and dedicated to serving the medical needs of Americans. So it's never been about immigration, it's been about illegal immigration.
At the same time, Mr. Faulkner, there has also been a recent controversy as far as voter IDs are concerned. And why do you think that this particular path was chosen, where certain states are allowing for voting to take place without a voter ID, which again was created into a major debate by the Republicans?
Well, certainly like West Virginia, you're required to show your driver's license. Voter ID is extremely important. You want to make sure that the people who are voting are who they say they are. You want to make sure that voting is done in a way that there is 100% certainty that the people who are eligible to vote, and that those votes are counted properly. There's a lot of questions that have been raised about the 2020 election. There's questions, and right now, 2 major legal challenges happening in the United States. They'll probably be decided by the U.S. Supreme Court this next week, where they've been trying to clean the voter rolls, especially in Virginia, and have found something like 1,600 people who actually in their own official records have stated that they are in this country illegally.
At the same time, Mr. Faulkner, do you think the Puerto Rican vote is perhaps going to be a significant factor in deciding the decision of the swing states?
We certainly, what you're going to probably lead toward is the opening act, who is a comedian I'd never heard of before,
Right.
out of a 6-hour program, said something very insulting about Puerto Rico. He's an actually insult comic. I don't know why anyone would put him on the stage in a political rally. But the key is that you have large swaths of Puerto Rican voters in the New York City area, in the Philadelphia area, and in Florida. Now, of those three, clearly the Philadelphia area Puerto Rican community is going to be a huge impact on how Pennsylvania goes. So this inflating of one really stupid joke by one really stupid comic at the very beginning of a 6-hour political program, the Democrats are obviously going to try to do as much with this as possible. I'm sure it'll be mentioned again tonight at the Harris rally.
Okay, Mr. Faulkner, one last question to you before we let you go. We want to understand Donald Trump promising further tariffs on imports. Kamala Harris, her policy focused on increasing wealth tax. What really, as per you, will be more beneficial to the American economy?
I think the key is that we have had a lot of countries, especially China, exploit our open and free trade policies. And so there's always been a debate about tariffs going back into the 19th century. And so so the key is how they're applied, who they're applied to, as to whether it will bring jobs and manufacturing back to the United States or drive up prices. And that's still a very lively discussion between economists right now.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.